weekend. So I'm super glad to see so many of you here today. So for today's session, I'm going to move away from this screen, but I will just iterate one thing. Wherever you're seated right now, if you're seated on a chair, make sure you're seated on a chair that has a full back support, or that you are able to sit erect without any kind of support, and that both of your feet are able to touch the ground. So you're not kind of, tiptoeing or anything like that. The second thing I would ask is that if you are someone who likes to sit on the floor, which I do, and it helps to have one of these lovely, amazing cushions. This is like my best friend. It's a firm yoga cushion. See how tough it is. So that thing is really important for you to sit on, and then roll your hips forward, whatever position you're sitting in, because that really opens up your entire torso and hip area. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of experiential breathing. We're also going to be doing some movement just now, so be ready to stand up if you'd like. Easier if you stand up. And also there'll be some amazing little lessons to be learned about breathing if you ever wondered or didn't know why everybody just keeps saying breathe. So why do we do that? What's going to happen if we do? Last week's session was our first one in this series, in this season, as I like to say. And we actually took this theme about the reed. And so it was the theme was be the reed. And we're going to carry this theme forward today. This beautiful analogy that says that in big storms, one doesn't have to be mighty, visibly mighty, because even the most mightiest of us do fall, and some of us don't mend. But when we take the analogy of the reed, which bends and bows and stands tall at the same time, or recovers, this is what we want to be more like, is being able to be flexible and adaptable to change around us, and being able to stand up when we need to. So having taken that into mind, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can see what I'm doing. I do recommend for the next 4 minutes or so when we do this, that you are standing. And if you can stand and close your eyes and not feel a lack of balance, that's great. But if you feel that, no, I might lose my balance, then just make sure you're using the chair that's in front of you for a little bit of support. You can alternatively do some of this sitting down. Okay, so no stress, just decide what works for you, and we'll go from here. And you can probably see most of me when I get up. So if you've chosen to stand up, we're just kind of standing straight, and our feet are hip distance apart. So what does that mean? That means that my hips are over here and my feet are not too far off, right? So far off in terms of the distance between them is the same as that of my hips. This is one of the most steady positions that we can stand in for our back support. And as you start to do that, and you feel like you can close your eyes and listen to me, please do so. Our toes are positioned nice and spread apart, and just become aware that as you spread your toes, maybe wiggle them a little bit and place them down slowly, giving recognition for all that they do all day long for us. You become aware of all the parts of your feet that serve you all day. So the ball joints, the ball of your feet, the heel arches, and just become aware of how that feels. And as you start to do that, the palms are nice and loose beside your hips. And I'd like you to start visualizing a movement where you're circling around the edges of your feet. So you're just drawing a line around the edges of your feet, both feet. And as you do that, you're kind of pressing on that part of the foot that your mind's at. Why do we do movement when we do this? We are basically aligning our mind and our body. We're basically saying, I would like to feel this movement with my mind. And as you start to do that and you're ready, you can place them back down, rolling your shoulders up towards the ears and settling them back down. And just start to sense if you're feeling any sense of tension anywhere in your body. And just take a deep breath and bring the mind to that area. Just bring your mind to your forearm or your knee that might be hurting. Take a deep breath Give it some attention, and then resume coming back to neutral. Now, what we're going to do here is breathe. And as what we do with breath work is that we teach the body to move with breath. So a lot of moving meditations leverage breath and body. So we're going to take a deep breath. And as you inhale, I want you to bring the arms just straight out at shoulder length. I'm not holding my breath when I get here. I'm breathing nice and easy. And just feel that sensation. Most times when we do this movement, we have a tension that starts to arise in our wrists. Be mindful of that, and you might even start to see a little bit of heat show up in your fingertips. Breathing nice and easy, knees are soft. And from this place, as we journey, I call this journeying around the world. We've come halfway, we're at the equator now. We're going to take another deep breath, and as we do this, we're going to bring our palms close to each other. They're not touching, they're just facing each other, like they're looking at each other. And the first thing you're going to do is drop the shoulders so that you're not hunching near your ears. And then you're going to try to bring your upper arms closer to the ears. So easier for some, not for others. If you're not used to holding your hands up in the air indefinitely, like I do all day long sometimes. The reason we do this is that you'll start to feel the blood flow fall from the fingertips down the arms into the shoulders, and you start to feel a bit of temperature change starting to happen there as well. Breathe nice and easy. Sometimes breathing through the nose and breathing out through the mouth gently also helps feel better, but mostly I'd like you to become aware of the energy that starts to develop between the palms. If you don't feel this right now, drop all expectations, guys, and let's just focus on, I got my hands up and I need to drop them at some point, but I'm going to keep them right here. Keep your mind right there. See, when I bring my palms closer and I move them away, I actually feel energy between the palms. So rarely that we mindfully do stuff like this that actually makes us aware of this very subtle energy body, because most of the time we're living in our logical body and our physical body. And when you're here, we're going to now become a reed as the wind starts to blow from any direction that you choose. I'm going to take a deep breath and choose to go with the wind. So inhale, and gently we're just going to lean. However strong that wind is for you, visualize that and be that reed, because the job now is to stay with the wind, to stay with the change. You might resist, you might not want that wind, but so it blows stronger than you. And then you inhale as the wind subsides. Oh, and here comes more. And over to the other side. What we're doing here again is establishing the connection between the mind, the breath, and the body. These are baby steps, and we always have to start with the baby steps. If you're an avid yoga practitioner or someone who tends to do a lot of physical work with your body, this may feel like a nothing because you're very well connected with your physical being, and for others, this is something new. Exhale as you bring the palms gently over to your shoulder length or a shoulder level, and try to straighten them out now, as straight as you can be, and breathe normally. Whenever I do this, I feel stronger. I was like, yay, I didn't have to drop my arms. And then as you exhale, bring them to your side. Keep your eyes closed as you stand steady here. One last deep breath in. Exhale. Clench the fists and let go. You can bring them to the front if you like, clench them, let go, and just do a few of these. What you're doing is releasing some of that energy that accumulated in the palms and fingers when we were holding them up. So let's just let that go, and then dropping the palms to the side. And so we're ready. Take a seat if you were standing and come join me. So that is what I call an arrival practice. And whenever in the day you feel that there's a big disconnect between the crazy stress and stuff, all the stuff that's happening around you, the first thing to do is get away from that environment. Go in the other room, step away from the computer. And if someone says just go and breathe, it's very hard for me to go sit down and just start breathing and expect things to wither away. But what I do find is if you just played your favorite music, usually instrumental, nothing too distracting, but did something as simple as that and slow everything down by just being very mindful of the body movement and the breath going with it. For that little while, I promise you, you probably won't think about what else is happening. The problem is all of us are extremely obsessed in very stressful moments about not stepping away. And then when we try to get into a mental practice, the brain is not a light switch. It will not switch off. So that's what I call a grounding practice. The Envia mission, for those of you who are new to me, I thank you very much for joining us today. This is a startup for me, a beautiful pet project of mine that was in my being, I think, a good 2 decades. The Envia mission is out here to create more human beings that are able to boldly take self-responsibility, self-leadership, and make change. Bring clarity and composure to themselves without too much assistance from anyone else. Be the source of your calm, as well as build social intelligence. We have a lot of very logical, intellectual people around, and we definitely have a lot of emotional people around. And so between your EQ and your IQ, there is something called your social intelligence. And I do encourage you to look at this because this is part of our mission, is not just the ability to emotionally feel people out, but also being able to create amazing things when you can own what you see, what you think, how you feel, and be able to see that in others. What is their intellectual, what's their logical, what is their emotional pattern, and be able to then bridge with people. So that's what social intelligence is. And I encourage you to speak, to read up on that. I also encourage you to go to our website and check out more about that. We are in 3 different markets right now. So we are actively helping working professionals or just parents or any adults. Normally, I tend to find these people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are looking to establish a customized mindfulness practice that actually works for them and have an evolution of that happen for them. We also do this for organizations whose employees right now, as you know, everyone, there's a stress epidemic going on. We covered all of that off last week with a bunch of people in our first session. And eventually it is my dream to be able to bring this to our children and our youth. Last week, it was really important when we started this series that we get on the same page about what mindfulness is. This word is getting thrown around a lot everywhere. It's used in business contexts, it's used in meditation and energy practices, and there's a plethora of ways to describe it. And what I'd like you to understand today is that it is not a religious practice. It is not something that you do separate of your life. It is not something that you escape life with. It is a teachable cognitive skill made up of many different kinds of practice. What you just did there for about 2-3 minutes with me was actually practicing mindfulness, getting in your mind away from its own patterns, being able to command it to align with where your body's at, where your breath is. And eventually there's many things that you can align your mind with, but it starts with these simple moves. And we'll be doing some more of that later experientially. What I'd like you to understand that's so very cool. Last week, we talked about the parts of the brain. There are 3 parts of the brain. We talked about how our fear comes from the back of our brain, the lower back of our brain, and that we have a middle brain and we have the frontal brain here. I won't even throw out the scientific names of this. What we need to understand is that as stress grips us, or anxiety starts to take control, depression starts to take control, a lot of our thinking starts to shift from the back, and we start to operate from a place of fear. And through mindfulness, we are actually able to guide our mind to start operating from the front of the brain, which is where our best creative and inspirational and positive thinking comes from. So, alongside that are the waves of the brain. The brain has many types of waves, different kinds of frequencies. And I've just listed 4 here for you to understand that the alpha waves are what we are invoking when we do a practice like the one we just did. This is what brings waves of calm and passive attention, and passive not being used in a negative context here, but being able to say, I'm stepping away from my brain right now so that I can allow the calm to happen. That's when our alpha waves are great. What's interesting about alpha waves is that it is the best brainwave for learning. So if you're a person or student or anyone that's trying to learn stuff, like right now we're learning stuff, this is when you want to feel a sense of calm as opposed to a sense of panic, because you're likely going to learn more efficiently and effectively. So it's more inspiring. But if you're not seeing a lot of that wave pattern in your brain for multiple reasons, it's hard for you to learn new things. It's hard for you to pivot to new things. The beta waves are great because when the alpha waves are strong, they start to develop the beta waves. The beta waves actually are the ones that get you to be super good at focusing outside. So external focus and concentration, all of that comes when these beta waves are nice and strong. They help you problem solve in the workplace. They help you execute on things. So this is the energy that comes from within and is able to execute on life in general. Those of us who then have evolved our practice to the point where we can invoke alpha and beta really well on our own through mindfulness, we then come to a place where our theta waves, which is where our deepest relaxation and inward focus happens. Those who are avid meditators, who can sit in meditation for an hour and feel like time didn't even happen, that's where the theta waves reside. And finally, when you go into very good deep sleep, that's when your delta waves are doing their work. Some fun facts for you to know. Maybe you can sort of look at that and say, what part of my day do I operate in what brainwave, and what do I want to invoke more? Okay. I'd like to see more of our kids learn stuff like this because their alpha waves need to be super strong all the time. They're students. This is their time to learn. And a lot of our children and youth are having challenges right now focusing. That is, that their beta waves are not working as fast as they should because of all the distractions around them. They're not listening actively. They're not executing properly. Executive skills are suffering. And that's because we need to give them a way to establish calm within themselves and really elevate their alpha waves. So let's come to the topic of today. Today is about breathing. And I'm sure every one of you has had somebody say to you, breathe, calm down. And it's easy for you to say, but I will tell you that the gift of breathing was given to me some 20 plus years ago. I was almost 30. I was going through a divorce. I didn't know. I felt like my whole life was crumbling around me despite having a fantastic career, but I couldn't really, I didn't know my way out. And somebody took me somewhere and I learned how to breathe properly. And I learned that from the breathing practice, I learned how to meditate very effectively. And so I'm very fortunate to be able to impart this journey with you because a lot of you may be avid breathers and meditators and people who can bring mindfulness into their life every day. Some of you may be very new to this science altogether, and it is a science. So when we start to breathe, 4 things happen. The first thing, these are very surface level things that start to happen. I won't even get into the depth of what starts to happen when you start doing this all the time. The surface level, what we're doing is that we actually invoke a surface level way of observing. We just did that, by the way. When you were breathing, moving, and bringing your mind to certain places in your body or certain movements, what you were doing is guiding your mind to listen to you. and be able to observe yourself as you choose to move this way or that way or breathe this way or that way. What that does, it's like learning to walk before you run. So you're learning to walk with observation. The power of observation is what meditation is about. So this is an easy way to say, I'm observing myself do this. It prepares you for the journey to come when you go inward. The second thing that it does, it's a great physical way, because the process of breathing, which is so existential, you've been doing it since you came into this world. It's the last thing you're going to do before you leave. It's a physical way to withdraw from external stimuli. We just did that, right? We decided to stand up. We decided maybe to close our eyes. We decided that we had to breathe in at a time, out at a time. We're going to move our arms with that. So what you're doing is you're kind of guiding the brain to say, you go with me, right? And we need to train our mind to follow us. And the mind-body connection is what is super important for us to start to establish. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. The third thing is it brings a sense of presence. We just did that, right? You might have been here, there, and everywhere. It's Saturday. People are shopping, cooking, kids, whatever. But that 2-3 minutes was when you stopped and you became present where you are. And it gave you a sense of body awareness. And you were listening, perhaps to a count. If not, we'll be doing that a little later. And finally, by doing what you do when you do the breathing, you basically are reorganizing the energy that's going on inside of you. The energy flow may be going out of your control, and it might be lost in emotionality, obsessive thinking, whatever it is, sadness, whatever it is. When we breathe, and we breathe correctly, we actually bring our attention, and our energy flow starts to shift within the body even. That stuff that was happening between the palms, that's energy shifting down back to center. And so these are 4 very surface level reasons why we start the journey of breathing. The journey of breathing starts us on the path of mindfulness. It's the simplest way to get there. Now, deeper down, there's a whole bunch of things in your body that are changing when you breathe. Here's the surface level science of this. When we're stressed, the cortisol levels are shooting. This is our stress hormone. It's overproducing cortisol. If you didn't know, the point of day that the cortisol level is the highest, does anybody know when it's the highest? Does somebody want to share when is your cortisol level the highest? Can anyone type into the chat? Because this is a webinar, so you won't be able to talk. But type for me and tell me, when is your cortisol level naturally the highest in the day? Monday. Oh, I love that answer. Correct. You're right. I'm with you, buddy. Yes, Monday. That's the day of the week. Mine probably starts Sunday night. But how about the time of day? Oh, midday, Ivana. No, morning. Thank you. Yes, believe it or not, our cortisol levels are the highest in the morning when you wake up. Does anybody know? Can somebody type in for me? Why would it possibly be the highest when you wake up? Anybody know that? Just think, what's happening for you? You were fast asleep, you got up. What happened? Aha, to keep you alert. Actually, it's bigger than that. It's worse than that. It is, yes, you're correct. It's to say, hey, you got to get up. Let's get up. You got to do this, this, and that. But for those of us who are experiencing sustained period of anxiety and stress, and you know who you are, that cortisol level turns out to be even higher than the norm. It's great when cortisol helps you get alert in the morning. We need that. But when it starts overproducing, you wake up with a racing mind, right? You wake up, and what are the 6 things you do in the morning, which are very normal things to do, appear like 20. And what's happening is there's this fast pattern of brain waves kind of going, oh, you got to go do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And by the way, you can only do it this way and this way and this way. And the tunnel gets narrower and narrower. Okay? Because what starts to happen is you're in your own head. Everyone around you is just operating with the 6 things you got to do. But you're going to barge in the kitchen and you're going to say, where's this? You didn't get that. And come on, let's get going. And you're just on the roll. There isn't really a real big reason to be panicked, but if you are already operating with high cortisol levels, this is a killer in the morning. Breathing also reduces our heart rate. We know this. You breathe slow. If you're breathing right, you're actually able to calm your heart rate down. The other thing that's happening is that it slows our blood circulation. Okay, and that's very important to do as well, right? Because the heart's working really fast. Now, it's important for fight and flight responses that the heart does the right thing and the brain does the right thing. So for fight or flight is great, but if your cortisol is running super high, it's gone beyond that, right? You're not even able to execute at that point properly. Shifting brain patterns, we just talked about what brain waves are like, right? And if you live in a space of being anxious and depressed or anxious and stressed all the time, shifting those back to where you'd like them to be in the alpha space is what I'm referring to, is what that does. And finally, we're going to do a whole other session on this parasympathetic nervous system. We all have two nervous systems. I always, the more I learn about the human body, even though I'm not a doctor or any medical professional, I am amazed at the construction, the sophisticated machine that we are. And so we have two systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. 80 to 90% of our life is spent with the sympathetic nervous system, just pushing away, doing the things we need to do. It is the one that gives us the alertness. This is the one that gets us to process, study, work, organize. That's what it's doing all day. When we sleep or rest in any way, our parasympathetic nervous system has a chance to repair us. For a lot of us, that happens when we finally sleep. And for some of us, we don't even sleep well. So the body's just kind of withering away. But there are ways in which you can invoke a parasympathetic nervous system, such as just that little sample of stuff we just did. You can take a walk. You can listen to music. You can do stuff that you find calming, nature. That's some little ways. Breathing is super powerful by leaps and bounds to invoke your parasympathetic system. Now, I told you to be the reed today, but for a second here, just in the context of breathing, we're going to become seals. So let's look at this animal. Seals, here's some fun facts. You know, when you dive into a body of water, our tendency is to block your nose, close your mouth, take a deep breath in and dive. At least that's what I do. I don't even block my nose. I'm crazy that way, but I love water. And so I'll just jump. And seals have this amazing way of breathing out. Their last breath is an exhalation before they dive into water. They use oxygen that's already in their body, in their blood, in their muscles when they're underwater. But even as they dive in, they exhale it out. When we learn more about breathing, you're going to learn that the most important part about breathing is the power to exhale. When people say go breathe, you need to calm down, they're not just saying go take a deep breath. It's about the exhalation. And as we do more practices around breathing, you're going to understand the power of that exhalation on the mind. Their heartbeat also, look at that reduction from 100 beats per minute to just 10 underwater. Breathing actually helps you drop your heart rate, stay calm even when there isn't any oxygen. You can keep your breath for longer. And as you breathe more, your lung capacity increases. It strengthens your lung muscles, but you're able to take deeper breaths and deeper exhalations and even hold breath for longer. And there's a fun fact about the fact that, you know, they can exchange 90% of their air in their lungs because they're very mindful breathers. And that's what we're setting out to do. So for a minute there, I wanted you to understand it's like being with a seal. One more fun fact. The Navy SEALs are taught a lot of breathing exercises as part of their training. One of the breathing techniques we're going to do today, in fact, we're only going to do one, is the one they start with. It's called the box breathing technique. And there's a reason why they start with the box breathing. But the Navy SEALs learn how to breathe, like they become masters of breathing, not just because they do a lot of dangerous things and so on. It's just that staying calm under any kind of circumstances is their job. So mindfulness is a big part of their curriculum. Not for today, but it's important for you to realize, depending on the background you may have come from, there are many different types of breath work one can do. Okay. Many cultures have had breath work for centuries as part of their culture. It's not a religion, but part of their culture was, if you think about India, for example, the whole science of breath work is called pranayam. You could just study the science of pranayam, which is nothing but just breathe. It's the mastery of the mind through the breath. And likewise, if you're a follower of Wim Hof, which is what I am, I do practice a lot of his breath work as well. Many people from around the world have come up with different types of techniques. And as we go through these different sessions, we'll be exploring all of those. The great thing is when you become good at any kind of breath work, you start to be able to channel and manifest in your head what it is that you would like to achieve and draw that in, the energy you draw in through breath. I am firmly convinced that Anvaya has stood up in the last few months, 9 months, because it was in my being and I continued my practice and it was just building inside me. And one day I breathed out and I took the plunge, and here I am talking to you. So we're now going to go into no more lecture. We're going to go into some experiential work. Before I do that, I would love it if some of you could type in here for me, yes or no. Do you do a breathwork practice of any kind, and have you felt a difference, yes or no, in terms of what it can do for you? And if it has done nothing for you, that's okay, because that's why we're here. All right, Chris, yes and yes. Jake, no, thank you. Nothing right now. Well, you're in the right place, Jake. Dipti, no, that's okay. This is where I was, guys. If I could learn, I tell you. Nishal, thank you. Ivana, no. I love this crowd. Awesome. Jyoti, thank you. Oh, here's someone. Manu, I do 5-5-5. That sounds a little bit like what we are going to do. Manu, is that your box breath? I'm not sure. Even breaths, is that what that is? Super. Okay, great. Yes, we're going to do that right now, actually. Thank you. That's awesome. Oh, there's more coming. Okay, so some and not consistent. Oh my God, am I with you on that one too? So when you start a practice, discipline is like the hardest thing, especially if someone's just kind of saying, sit there and do this breathing, and you're going, nothing's happening for me. The number one thing that people do when they get into breath work or meditation that goes wrong for them is when they come into any exercise with expectation. Because depending on the season and the day and what's happening around you, the very same practice will either serve you or it won't. And that's not a reason to give up. Because it's like, as I said, it's like walking before you run. If you stop the walking, you won't get to the jogging. Maybe you got to the jogging and then you stopped and then you had to start walking again. Do you see what I mean? So just taking the time, 20 minutes a day in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, to do your mindfulness practice is a way that you start a journey, because that energy that you're cultivating there in that space is what you're going to bring into your life. And that's the next step. Is if you go on my socials, if you've been watching my videos, if you've been listening to some of the stuff I say, I tend to talk more about our daily interactions with other people. I tend to talk about self-awareness in conversations. I tend to talk about how to be more effective with your kids. For me, that journey of getting more effective in life has come from the discipline that I needed to have back then when somebody said, come and learn some breathing. And so I started practicing this thing, and I would do it a week. And then I'm like, this isn't doing anything. And I'd give it up. But the good, funny thing was, when I would give it up, I would realize that when I was doing it, I was feeling calmer and better. So I thought, why not? Let me just go back to it. So I would start again. And the more I did it, the easier it got, the more effective it got. And so I encourage you to take the journey and not expect, and don't be too hard on yourselves. So we're going to set up to breathe now. Some basic, when I set up to breathe, I'm going to lead you through a small body scan. So I'm going to teach you how to set up to breathe. And so you can do this either by moving now. Mind you, no one can see you right now. So you can actually move from your chair to your cushion. You can stay where you are. You might choose to even dim the lights a little bit if some light's glaring at you. Put both feet on the ground and close your eyes. And for the next little while, I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes closed. I'll tell you when to open them. I hope you all have your raisin or something ready nearby. So as you close your eyes and you're seated, just take a check on where your feet are. And as we agreed, they would be flat on the ground. Your posture, if you're sitting, is to lift your chest up so it's not slouching into your abdomen area, because then what you're doing is collapsing your lungs. So a straight back is going to allow you to lift the chest and keep it lifted above the diaphragm. Okay. Just breathe normally. Your eyes are closed. I would encourage you with your eyes, as you close your eyes, to visualize that you're looking inside you right now, as opposed to looking out. So think about it as a different journey. When our eyes are open, we're open to every stimuli around us. But when we close, and this is an easy way to just shut off everything, is to close your eyes. I teach my son this all the time. It started with scary movies. He'd close his eyes. And now we've learned. When we're feeling panicked, there's something happening around us that we are feeling uncomfortable with. Closing your eyes alone will take your gaze inside and calm. Your jawline and your mouth. Take your jawline, open your mouth slightly, and just move it side to side. You're kind of just stretching out the tension that you may have below the ears in the jaw. Just do that a few times. And even closing your mouth, you can move the mouth side to side and just stretch out the muscles around the mouth and then settle into your space again. Your spine is erect. And what does erect mean? It means, A, that your chest is not collapsed into your torso. And it also means that your lower back, the base of your spine, is not dumping into your hips. So you're going to lift that so that you got a straight line in your mind with where your spine sits. A good way to also straighten it out is to take your chin, your head, and tuck it inwards. Just gently tuck it in. When you do that, the vertebrae that sit at the base of the neck also align with the rest of your spine. You see, when you keep your eyes closed and you take instructions like this, you're already becoming mindful of something other than stuff around you. Your chest is very open. Because it's lifted, it has the capacity to open from one side to the other. So think about a maximum stretch in the chest horizontally, giving the lungs plenty of space to grow in any direction they want when you inhale. And your hips are feeling pretty light right now. And the reason they are is because you're not dumping the rest of your upper body weight on them. So they're sitting there doing their job, holding your legs together, right? But not feeling like the upper body is kind of their burden to carry. The spine is absolutely doing its job, holding you upright. Our palms are rested on our thighs. And I'll give you a little signal around that. If you're sensing a lot of tension, mind's racing, hard to concentrate, take those palms and turn them down. That means that they're face down on your lap. If you're feeling calm and present, emotions are running you over, you're ready to learn, keep them facing up. There's a question here, doesn't it mean to sit upright? I'm not sure I understand the question, but we'll carry on here. And then you might wonder, well, why my palms up or down? What does that even mean, right? When we keep our palms open, as many meditators you might have seen, tend to sit with their palms open. They might be in a finger gesture we call in Sanskrit mudra. There are different mudras, meaning positions of fingers that you can invoke strength with, concentration with, peacefulness with. But for now, when they're open, it means I'm ready to receive. The energy is within the palms. Remember, we felt some of that. If you felt some of that energy between your palms, when you feel that you are ready to receive knowledge, you're open to take in more, then those palms are open. But, very often we're not in that place in our heads, and keeping them down is basically saying, I need to stop feeling this panic and I don't need more on me right now. And we can just put them down. It'll calm you. Let me talk to you about the breath we're going to do. It's called the box breath. Keep your eyes closed. You don't need to open your eyes. Just keep breathing nice and easy here. Keep your posture. Keep your mind on your posture. Everything that I cued you on right now. The box breath is also known as the even breath. A box is usually square. So the box breath is a count of 4, and it can be more, it can be 5 if you've been practicing enough, but we'll start with 4 today. So the thinking is even breath equals even thought. If you're experiencing a lot of polarizing thoughts during the day or emotions, or the energy is kind of swaying from side to side, you're just feeling a little out of control. The box breath, which is what the Navy SEALs learn first, is called even breath is equal to even thought. Be able to bring yourself to center. It has a neutralizing energy effect. So when we are in extreme polarizing situations like labor, women, we all know this, right? The contractions come and go. And when they come, there's a big wave, and then they go and they calm down and they keep coming. And there's a lot of polarizing of emotions that happens because of that pain. If you're feeling anxiety, it's a sense of out of control, and we start to shout and scream, and then we hush up, and then we react again. That's polarizing. This breath is excellent for people who are feeling this kind of thing. So for any kind of anxiety, pain, insomnia, because insomnia has lots of after effects, or labor or war, as you know, this is a simple breath to start with. It's the simplest breath you could start to learn. It does not put you to sleep. It creates an even mind. It promotes alertness and grounding. So when you're here with me now, I'm going to start to count 1 to 4. And then I'm going to go 4 to 1. And then I'm going to go 1 to 4 again. And then I'm going to go 4 to 1. And as I do that in your mind, even with your eyes, you can visualize that you're walking on one side of a square from one point to another. And then you're walking down the next side of the square, and then the next side of the square, and the final side of the square. And you're just going to keep going in a square. And with the count from 1 to 4, you're going to inhale. When you exhale through the mouth, and then inhale again through the nose, and then out through the mouth. So it's 2 out the mouth, 2 in. And the thing is, you're going to keep that continuous. Okay, so ready to go now. One last deep breath in and out, and we'll get started. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, walking, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Follow the breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get going. 1, keep going, keep going. 3, 4, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, mouth, 2, 3, 4. Carry on your own at your own pace. Keep walking around that square. Don't lose track where you are in that square. Stay really focused and accurate. The breath does not need to go deep. It just needs to go where it feels comfortable, even if it just gets to the chest. Just focus on mind count and breath. Mind and breath. That's all we're doing, mind and breath. Just keep with it. Even try to say, my square just got bigger. I'm going to take more steps. I'm going to make it 6 now. Here I go. But the pace has to be nice and slow. As our square gets bigger, so does our perception of our capacity. When you're done, I'd like you to just stay still. Keep your eyes closed. It's a little addictive. When I start this, I don't want to stop. So, go ahead, do 2 more. And when you're ready, you can keep your eyes closed and just stay still. You've stopped the journey and breathe normally. Don't need to think so hard about the breath anymore. And just observe how you feel right now. I'm going to be asking you about that in a second. Just observe how you were before you came to this session, how you feel right now. Without opening your eyes, I'd like you to rub your palms together, like, just rubbing them together, like almost as if you're building some more energy now between them. And then I'd like you to take both palms and place the palms over your eyelids that are closed right now. Let them stay there. Feel the emission of that heat on the eyelids. It's a nice comforting way to wake yourself up as opposed to just opening your eyes, back bright screen in front of you. And then gently, as you're ready, I'd like you to open your eyes and pick up, without any other distraction, pick up your raisin or almond or what it is that you found in your fridge. I want you to, with that same energy that you've just cultivated so mindfully, I'd like you to look at this raisin. And the first thing I want you to do is just look at it. Don't, throw it around or roll it around. Just kind of look at it and observe it. What do you see? Color? Do you see a texture? You see the edges? Observe. Even visually observe how fragile it is relative to you. And then with your fingers, I'd like you to start to feel it, like rub it around, roll it around in your fingers, And this time you could close your eyes when you're doing this, because what you're doing now is allowing your sense of touch to do its work. And, some words may come to mind in terms of how that feels. Observe if you're being impatient with it as you do that. What are those emotions that you're showing when you rub this little sweet thing around? As you feel it, I want you to also listen. Maybe your raisin was sitting in the fridge a long time, and as you start to press a little bit, it might even make a sound. If not, you'll start to see, as you press it a little bit, how much it responds. Does it bounce back? Does it give in? And now I'd like you to very gently take that and put it to your nose. No one's watching you, so please do this with a full mind. The ability to use our full mind is what mindfulness is. Most of us have most of our channels closed anyway. So let's try and with a full mind, bring it to your nose. Eyes can be closed still because you're just drawing away from external stimuli when you do that, and invoke your sense of smell. What do you smell? What does it remind you of? Do you feel like eating it? Just watch what's happening with you here. The gift of its scent that we often don't even bother to enjoy because guess what? We're just all about the eating. When you're ready, I want you to rub that raisin around your lips. So texture now on your lips. See, it feels different from your fingers and closely now to your tongue. So what starts to happen is a little bit of your saliva starting to say, I want this. When you place it in your mouth, put it on your tongue, close the mouth and do not chew it. Let it just be there. If only we could eat like this. If only we could take the time to feel everything in our life quite so mindfully. And so there it sits ready for you to enjoy. You've been incredibly patient. And now it's time to take that bite. So you can start to chew it. I would encourage you to chew it very slowly. Not swallow it too quickly. Just chew it. Swirl it around. Do your thing. And when you feel like, yeah, I don't think I can do this anymore. If you feel you can, kudos to you. You can swallow it when you're ready. Now, I'd like you to open your eyes, and as we close this session, I will tell you that a solid breathwork practice is the foundation for starting to meditate. When you're able to physiologically shift parts of your body to feel a certain way, then your mind will follow obediently. But for the brain to actually just start to follow, breath work needs to change the energy in your body, and it needs to bring your mind very close to your breath. That energy source, that process of energy exchange that we do all day long, consciously or unconsciously most of the time. We're doing it without the brain even knowing. But there is power in that energy exchange. So now in the chat, before we close, I would love it if you all could share two things with me. One is, what do you feel towards the raisin right now? Let's take that question. How did you feel towards the raisin as it went through that journey with you? Anyone. There's no right answer, guys. You could have been bored out of your brain. That's okay. Enjoyed it. I appreciated it. Gratitude. More gratitude. Very good. Anyone else? Thankful. Yes, I liked it. I felt life. Wow. I kind of feel like eating it, and I appreciated it because the time we took to admire the beauty of it. I love that. Someone said yesterday, yes, at yesterday's session, they felt that the journey from the seed to the plant, to the fruit, to the raisin became more clear. How profound. Our job on this earth is to observe our journey. We talked about social intelligence, our journey, and being able to look at other people's journey before we respond. Appreciated it more gratitude. It was delicious. Yay. Yes. Great answers. This is my last second question to you before we close today. When you came into this session, and how do you feel right now? Could you share that, please? And again, you don't have to feel anything. This is the beginning of a really big journey with me. So just could have been a nothing. I've got someone here calm and contented. I feel less anxious. I feel more relaxed. So relaxing and calming. I feel more relaxed relative to how I was before. Thank you. Calm and fulfilled. Ah, there's a word, fulfilled. Fulfilled by doing what? Not buying things, by not emotionally eating, by not delving into any kind of addiction or drink or alcohol or whatever it is that gets you happy, but by yourself with your breath. And as I said, this is like the babiest of the baby steps. And you guys took that journey with me today. I am so grateful. Thank you so much. I hope that you will keep joining us every Friday. I think there's a demand for this on the weekend. Maybe I'll start doing a weekend session as well now, because we tested today and I'm looking at how many people showed up here. I'm really grateful. Everyone have a terrific weekend. I encourage you to do the box breath every day. Start tomorrow. Tomorrow's a great day, Sundays, right? Best time, by the way, to do this is in the mornings. When you get up in the morning, the first thing I do, without fail, is I go right from the bed to the shower. I don't look around at anything. I go straight to my shower. I take a cold shower, but you guys don't need to do that yet. I'll get you there. But take a nice shower, let the cortisol level kind of settle down, come back to your room, do your bed, create order. This is all mindful stuff, right? And then sit down and do your box breath. Okay. Neha, thank you so much for joining us today. Very relaxed, appreciative of my surroundings and the raisin. Thank you so much. I love you lots. Tease next week. Oh, yes, next week. What are we doing next week? We're going to learn another breathwork practice because I got to take you guys slowly. I actually wanted to do a piece on discipline and habits, habits, power. There's a great book called Atomic Habits. So, how to build habits. We might go there. I'm not sure yet, but that's what's in my head right now. And thank you for your gratitude today. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in like maybe Friday or Saturday. Thanks. Take care. Bye, everyone.